Hey, Chocoholics Anonymous. I have a review of the first episode of Beware the Batman, and they're brought to you by my own comic book, Red Knight, issue 6, and all 6 issues are available on primalpapercomics.com, as well as Manos Publishing at Etsy.com. And hey, speaking of Primal Paper, why don't you take a look at some of the other brands? Let's see, there's Legend of Willpower, The Ends, Dogs and Sailors, 41. They're all available at primalpapercomics.com. You can also download for free this great sampler, which features all 5 titles. Now, Cartoon Network has finally, after so long, debuted the Beware the Batman show, which caused a lot of people to go for the longest time in whatever previews we've been shown in the last few months. There was some holdup because of they wanted to edit some of the gunplay down because of the tragedy of Sandy Hook. And to be honest, well, I'll get into that actually a little bit later. But it's finally upon us. The show that I think this replaced Green Lantern. I don't know. Teen Titans Go replaced Young Justice because I guess that show wasn't stupid enough, so they had to replace it with that show. And this new show I was interested in because I don't think I watched one episode of Green Lantern. My apologies to the producers of Green Lantern. Now, this is Batman's first CG show. This is produced by, I believe his name is Mitch Watson. I'm unfamiliar with his work. But what he is putting together is a show where Batman's still early in his career. James Gordon is still a lieutenant. And Alfred is more of a former MI6 bodyguard who is working with him. May or may not have helped train him, actually. And then, of course, Katana is brought in at the end of this episode, and I assume we'll see more of her in the second episode, now that she's been introduced. So, what do we get? We get Professor Pig and Mr. Toad as villains, and slightly toned down, less creepy than their original runs in Grant Morrison's Batman comics, which, to be honest, they kind of fit in pretty well. The way they're done here is pretty standard Batman villain stuff, where they're eco-terrorists trying to punish evil rich people, going a little bit too far, and of course they include Bruce Wayne in their victims list. Of course, bringing Batman right into the fray, because they don't find Bruce Wayne, so they kidnap Alfred instead. And of course, Alfred is shackled to the other 2 rich guys they've kidnapped. Now the plan was revenge because they were part of a land deal that took out a nature preserve and drilled and kind of ruined the area. So they're kind of mad, so they're going to do kind of a most dangerous game kind of thing in the oil rig that was apparently abandoned or something like that. So, what did I think? I more or less really enjoyed this. First off, I'll talk about the design. I think the design looks really good. This Batman is a nice stylized look, and almost reminds me a little bit of the Bruce Timm design, specifically from the Justice League era. All the characters look really good. I particularly like the villains. Professor Pig and Mr. Toad look really good, and they're really well animated, and they're really interesting designs. It's really nice to see them. Alfred, let's see, is completely bald and has no facial hair, and is very beefy. He's very different than any Alfred I've seen, and I don't know, it's weird not seeing him with facial hair. I mean, he almost looks like the character is not finished yet, or something like that. And of course, Katana, I only see a couple of scenes with her, but she looks pretty cool in the way she's portrayed in those scenes. Now, this show seems to do, for its pilot episode, not too much, and I think that was pretty much of a wise move. And actually, reminds me a little bit of On Leather Wings, the pilot episode of the Bruce Timm Batman animated series, where we're thrown right in that Batman is just Batman, and it's still kind of early, and he is discovering like this new villain. So we get to kind of see into his world through this adventure. Both kind of play, pretty much the same kind of tactics, which I think is, a good move. We'll get more origin stuff, I assume, later on. After we see a cool scene with Batman taking out a couple of robbers, and we get to see him in action, how he works, the next morning he is woken by Alfred, who, I guess they have this weird sneak attack training thing, much like Inspector Clouseau and Kato. Maybe it's less funny, but that's pretty much their system. And let's see, I really like the tone of the show. I think what this producer does is similar to Bruce Timm, where he takes influences from the past and kind of cherry picks what's working. Now that the show is a 2013 show, you can definitely see the Christopher Nolan influences, particularly the chase scenes, some of the tone. Even though we have fantastic characters in this show, there's a certain realism to the way they're portrayed. This one episode. And complete with the video camera scenes sent to the TV channel, the way that's all done, and I think it's fairly successful first episode. I enjoyed it quite a bit. The voice acting, I didn't recognize any of the names on this one. No voice actors I recognized, but they were all very comfortable in their roles. I didn't really hear anything too weird. I do need to hear Gordon talk a little bit more to feel more comfortable with that actor. And I will say, I guess the biggest difference in this Batman universe, as opposed to the other ones, the other shows and the comics and the movies, blah blah blah, is the MI6 badass Alfred. And I guess it's implied that he was the bodyguard of the Waynes, and then naturally he took on Bruce and I guess helped train him. We'll hear more about this. I'd like to know where the hell was Mr. Badass when they were getting shot in that alley. I'm sure we'll hear, hopefully, something about that in the episode. Maybe that might explain his willingness to help and influence Bruce Wayne in his venture as being Batman. Maybe guilt over the failure might have something to do with it. That's just my guess. Which I guess this take does kind of work in this continuity. I'm still not totally sold on the whole idea of badass Alfred. It's, I don't know, not a particular take that I personally would prefer. I guess you could make the argument that Alfred does in various forms have a past in espionage. I mean, the Nolan films, I think the comics, although the comics are so hard to tell, even the animated series actually dealt with that idea. There's an episode, The Unicorn and the Lion, I think it's called, where Alfred revisits his past as a spy. It's an okay episode. But I don't know, just see him so different. There is a character revolution over time with these iconic characters, and then occasionally something changes where it's a little jarring. So I don't know. It works, but I don't know if it's my cup of tea for this character. So as far as like the character, the villains are concerned, I really like the fact that we're starting out with newer and possibly more obscure villains. We're using Magpie next. I haven't seen Magpie in like probably forever. And Anarchy. I really dig Anarchy. I notice in some of the preview art his costume is different than his comic book version. It looks cool, as well as Magpie. Her costume looks pretty cool. And I'm totally cool with this. I'm pretty familiar with all the Batman villains. I can deal with not seeing them for a season. So okay, and I'm fine with seeing these characters fall. You know, because here's the thing. I think Brave and the Bold, we didn't see the Joker for like a whole season. I think it was season 2, if I'm not mistaken, when he finally shows up. And you know, some of the other DC characters, and the Batman from a few years ago, we didn't see Barbara and Dick for like a while. I think Dick shows up in season 3 and Barbara shows up in season 2, if I got that right. So you know what? I'm totally cool with this trio for the time being, and we'll see if Barbara and Dick get introduced. I mean, Gordon's there, so we'll probably see Barbara. Dick, it might be some time, which is fine. You know, I can wait, because I don't know. It's always kind of fun to see, you know, a TV version of Batman kind of build its own take on the character. So far so good. I really like this first episode. Since I'm not reading the comics anymore, this is pretty much my Batman fix for the time being. So thank goodness I liked it. I think that's it. I'm going to give the show, well, first episode, I don't know if I should rate these episodes. I'll just recommend it. I recommend you check it out. It's worth your time. If you've been worried, like, oh no, this is going to be totally lame, blah, 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 give it a shot. Give it a look-see. I will be watching more episodes, so hope you will too. Push the button, Lindsay.